But anyhow, before I get started, David did give me a note before. I just want to make sure I read and do this right. Please say nice things about me. I'm a lonely man and I love the way you live. Okay,
Hey, Bill, I only got 2 hours on this tape.
well, I want to thank everybody for this award tonight. Oh, Dave, never mind. Okay, all right, Dave. I'm sorry, Dave, sorry. When Dottie and I first came back to Oklahoma, we kept trying to make many arrangements to meet with David about the church and joining the church. And through scheduling conflicts and everything, we never did get together with him until one day we finally finalized on a day we were able to meet. And Dottie and I got here, and then Nancy informed us that David had a heart attack. David, if he didn't want to meet with us, we just had to say so. He didn't have to go quite that far. But as we got to join the church and we got to know each other, it was pretty obvious that David and I and Linda and I and Dottie were all going to be friends. Particularly David and I, because we had so much in common. We both grew up in New York City. We both love music, different types, but we both love music. We both married nurses, and we're both handsome and intelligent gentlemen. Handsome? Intelligent? Yeah, one of them. But as the time went on, our families became closer. We were able to share some ups and downs. When our family had a crisis, Dave and Linda were both there for us as our friends, and Dave is our spiritual counselor. He was just Dave being himself. But it all came together for me one day when David and I were having lunch, and we were talking about the PS appointment, and in our usual humor, we were kidding about it. We were looking at the benefits of David becoming a district superintendent. One was David got to play the politics, which he really loved to do because he's so soft-spoken and keeps everything to himself. He was going to take a pay cut. He was going to leave the church that he loved. And he was going to leave his family and friends. But then it all came together about David, what really David's all about. We paused after we laughed about all of this, and David looked me right in the eye and did write this down. He said, you know, Bill, I really do believe in my calling, and the good Lord has chosen me for some reason to do this job. This is David, a great friend, and a great man, and to quote from a movie, The Blues Brothers, is on a mission from God. Through all our joys and tribulations, he never forgets this. For what you are, David, Dottie and I are going to miss you. And Linda very much. I'm all right. You'll never know how much we love you guys. Our loss is pain's gain. And I know that we'll continue to see you, and we will always be a friend.
First of all, David, do I have to play now or after the sermon?
Before, so we don't lose money on the sermon.
Okay. David, as our leader, you have taught us all so much. Everybody individually has learned so much from you. The communion ushers want you to know that we have learned our lesson well. This shirt signifies the lesson taught to us, and as time passes and as your memory fails, it will also remind you of your time allotment when you return to us as a guest preacher. As a communion usher, you know you did your job right if at the end of the service David said, good job. If there were more people than stood at the railing, you were sure to get disciplined. David always had a unique way of disciplining us, and the way he talked to me was, haven't you learned to count to 12 yet? David, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
We would like to present Pastor David with this present, and it is pretty much just an album of all of our pictures and all them in the first row. I
I wasn't on the agenda, but I do want to say a special thank you to David. He's been a special pastor, a special person, and a special friend. And I think all of us are going to miss him very much. But we wish him Godspeed. And hopefully we'll see a lot of you still.
Okay. One thing I have learned is that
I think there is a couple things. Somebody stole our idea. Fun. Education Committee would like to present Pastor Dave with a commemorative stroll also. Very different from the first one. If she's there. Yes, way back there, Helen, thank you very much. Her and her son, we gave her the ideas. She came up with the symbols, and her son is a very nice artist. Thank you very much. And as you can see, there's one special thing here. The little sheep, he was instrumental in getting the joyful shepherds going. We have a little grin is because he's our little black sheep of the conference. That's why they're shipping him up to me. There's a little something in here that wants to come out too. A couple of years ago, we had our first annual Pride game. And I happened to mention the day after that Pastor Dave couldn't pass out the first ball. But that he did entertain us between innings as the famous monkey boy. And he always says he was going to give me back. He's forgot my name a couple of times the past couple of weeks. So with Brian. Brian here? Stand up, Brian. Do I look like that handsome dude over there? He's much better looking. So on behalf of myself and my monkey boy, to you. Thank you.
But our committee probably doesn't really have all that information. So I talk on behalf of myself. Those of you who know me know I laugh a lot, but I also cry a lot, so bear with me. I tried to make this fun. Again, apologies. Our committee took out a newsletter a couple of years ago, and we worked out some of our minor problems, getting past the day to attach the test. But we got it working smoothly, and it's really been a pleasure to publish with our front page. Supportive of our efforts, it's been helpful because when we all started with on a personal level, we got Pastor David. We have a lot of churches this day. It's always a sad thing, but this one's probably the hardest because this time I'm having this discussion. I know that being part of the Baptist family, we all learn to recognize the church family as our own family. And this one has been especially warm and welcome to all of us. When my parents came here, my daughter was their only grandchild. She was celebrating her first birthday today after my father preached his first sermon here. Now as they're leaving, they have 5 grandchildren with one more on the way. One of those many signs that we all grow and change. Unfortunately, sometimes it's part of that growing and changing. We're all saying goodbye. And that's a hard thing to do. I feel blessed to have a mother and father He loves you. He loves you. I'm blessed to be a member of my father's church. So I'm not really happy with the church. Going to lunch with my parents on Sundays after church. I enjoyed spontaneous get-togethers during the week. Being able to have my father stop in and seeing with my mother and dad. I'm glad there was an opportunity to do that. Happy day here. It's a really time to finally come to say goodbye. Although I know I'll see you again, it really isn't a goodbye. I put a lot of things off, like putting my father's last article in the newspaper. Maybe I have to make the time pass a little slower. But it's important. I'll just see you often. But I know that God is asking you to move on. He's asking me to move on. And I trust that you will be starting as patience and over a stone in her faith. And I'm patient to him. Thank you for everything. I love you. I love you.
You don't have to hold record.
How do you know? Okay, I see.
You got a red? You got a green?
Yeah.
And it says REC?
Yeah.
Pastor David, I would like to present to you a gift from all of us at New Street United Methodist Church. We will miss you, and when you watch this, please remember us as we will remember all that you have given to the people here. Please enjoy the first copy of the movie titled Main Street United Methodist Church.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Pastor Dave. And I'd like to acknowledge also people who have helped make this. Cliff Bennett helped edit it. Can we have Cliff up for just a moment, please? Come on up. He edited the movie with me and got the parts set up. We were doing a lot of taping, and he was integral in that. Thank you very much, Cliff. And April for mastering the movie, putting it all together with these special machines. We give Jim and Gina for doing the teacher interviews. And I want to do one last thanks to everybody who put up with all my antics trying to make this movie. Thank you very much. If you're wondering, the movie will be available in the future. Thank you.
I have a short meditation I'd like to do on moving. Some people need to be placed throughout the year, but it's a short those who frequently develop a message based on the capital But when walking to Christians, I've heard the greatest help in moving is going to worship. Abraham and Sarah did this. When they reached Canaan and Gilead, which God had called them, Abraham built an altar of worship. For us, worship in our new place is the presence of God having gone before and meeting us there. I moved one to the state, towns were called boroughs. States were called Commonwealth. Taxes were different, driver's license were different. Insurance regulations were more complicated. The local radio and television stations were suited to the farming community, not to the metropolitan seemed almost like a different country, but at worship I grasped the familiar hymnal, sang the liturgy, and found that the experience of shared faith across many barriers. It was good to worship the Lord very soon after moving. It is good to be with God's people. And we know Pastor David will always be with us in faith, as we're all one to our Christian family here. And I'd like to present you with a small token of our affection from the United States.
David and Linda, since you've been so instrumental in bringing so much music to this church, and we all appreciated it, and we recognize your roots in the Salvation Army, I decided that I would give you something that would not need packing. Just a small musical memory. And this is something that I do as a mission in nursing homes, and I thought maybe I could minister to you today in a tambourine routine. And Sherry is going to play for me. Our song is, Hey, Look Us Over. I thought it was apropos. I will give you a lesson in tambourine as you had a lesson in bells.
You know, my son does write music, and I just asked him if he would write a little song about opportunity. And so he's going to read the words first. It does take a little hard to hear. So the words are Opportunity Knock by Todd Farrell. Sometimes it seems we're caught between a hard place and a rock. There are many doors to choose from down the hallway we will all walk. And when the one we've opened all our lives will not unlock, find another door and listen for a new opportunity to knock. And it might be hard to answer when we know not what's in store. It's a choice we all must make to stay or go. Will you dare to take the chance, sir, and find out what's through that door at the risk of leaving everything you know? Sometimes the things we thought were carved in stone erased like chalk, and dealing with those changes often comes as quite a shock. And now our faithful shepherd leaves to lead another flock. Certain doors must close, so that as he goes, a new opportunity will knock. As we walk life's corridor, keep listening for a new opportunity to knock.
chairperson on board for a year. That was me. We had some new members on the committee, and Pastor Dave was here to help us get started and to reach out with me in charge. He was supportive of our new ventures. We reached out, he helped us reach out, welcome new members, to incorporate new members into our midst, make them a part of this wonderful church community. As you leave us today, we are going to keep on trying. We are going to go forth, we are going to be friendly, we are going to welcome other new people and to keep your wonderful mission alive. So we wish you the best and thank you for all your help.
Beside every good man, there is usually a good woman. Linda, you are that good woman beside that good man. David, in my more than 70 years as a Methodist, I have come to know a lot of Methodist pastors. The Methodist Church makes it possible for you to know a lot. Among them all, you rank with the top as my favorite. And David, your friendship and your love and your caring have done a great deal to me, and I thank you. I believe this book will also have a special meaning for you.
No, I'm not doing that. In fact, I want to say thank you very much. Pastor Dave has donated many books from his own personal library to our library, and I thank you very much, and I hope to have them on the shelf by the end of summer. I can't sing. I can't play an instrument. I don't write speeches very well. I can't tell a joke to save my life. What I can do is listen. And I have sat here for 8 years listening to Pastor Dave's sermons and enjoyed every single one of them. And I've especially enjoyed the time he has used the Peterson translation. In his honor and in his name, I have brought this book to put in our library so that other people may also be as moved and have outside of his word as I have. Thank you, Pastor Dave. I thank you, Linda. We miss you very much.
just a little bit more practical than that. What we're looking for is we're looking at ways to help your transition. Okay? And now that you're moving,
Now I am nervous.
now that you're moving to a foreign country, it's important that you blend in with the natives, okay? So that you can gain their trust. The first thing to keep in mind is that Mainers are true Yankees. Mainers are true Yankees. They make us look like Midwesterners. You've got to blend in, and you've got some physical traits working against you. Okay, first of all, your size. All right, you're a big guy. Okay, your verbal eloquence. That doesn't quite blend in real well. And you've got a full set of teeth. You've got some problems there. So, this first ensemble is good for about 10 months out of the year. It plays with hat, mittens, scarf, mucklucks. There's the gentleman's walking stick that every proper gentleman wears when they're multiple footwear is also important because you never know what you're going to fight. So it's good to get yourself one of these pink quarters too. I don't know if that's in the budget out there, but and finally, the best thing to bring with you is the all-purpose ice cream. Okay, this is invaluable for getting into your mailbox, getting into your car, and breaking the skim off the toilet flush. The other really nice thing about Maine is that it's excellent for dieting because during those 10 months, various parts of your body will freeze off. But fortunately, it's not all ice and snow. For a good solid 2 months, there's mud and bugs. For 2 solid months, there's mud and bugs. There you go. You've got the netting for the mosquitoes and black flies. You got to make sure that your boots are tight, laced up real tight so the mud doesn't suck them off. You've got a holster for your mosquitoes and black flies. Gaiters are a good idea for the low-flying mosquitoes and black flies. And then you've got your mosquito swatter because they grow really big. And of course you'll want to accessorize. Oops, I forgot the accessory. There's a bucket and a pitchfork over there. Alright? I know it's there. Right in the corner, right here. There you go. There you go. Okay. One of the most popular pastimes in Maine is digging spuds. So every good Mainer is properly accessorized. You've got your basket, your pitchfork for taking spuds. You've got, if you look behind our lovely model, you have your rear guard. In case you're not quite as quick as that niece that's following. And finally, you have your multi-purpose knee pads. They're good for praying, for the snow to stop, for the mud to dry up, for the bugs to go away. They're excellent for getting down and digging those potatoes. But most importantly, and what we want you to really use them for, is getting down on your knees and begging the bishop to send you back to Southern
couldn't live without giving David this piece of paper I use to hand him every day and then phone messages on whatever I can find and use it as paper towel.
We of the Amen Group are really going to miss Pastor David. You know, he's one of our founding members. And I'm particularly going to miss him because usually he would sing that high part, and I didn't have to. By the way, we're auditioning for high tenors, if anybody's interested. And just before Pastor Dave steals away, we're going to sing Steal Away.
Pastor Dave, being instrumental in our group. Pastor Dave helped make these some rare speakers. He's always there for the breakfast. Although sometimes he did speak out after the breakfast. People wanted to get married and things like that upstairs. So we have to leave the meetings early now and then. Because there was that one time Bishop called in and leave for that too. To have the man, I got you a card, we all signed it. And thanks to Rudy's digital camera, we got Pastor Dave on film here from one of our speakers. Thank you.
Again, we are going to all miss you as we take your journey up to north. And if I could paraphrase a few things that I've heard of earlier. And Tuesday, I believe you're moving, as the covered wagon takes you to the main frontier. There's going to be a lot of things as you see as you go from the New Hampshire flag up into the main neck of the woods, as they say, from Maine. I lived up there for 7 or 8 years, and I saw firsthand how Mainers lived, and Paul and the team did an outstanding job of really depicting what a Maine person needs. A couple of things that weren't mentioned, snow in July, and I think some of those pieces there will certainly help you. Mainers can sometimes be referred to as behind the times, and I certainly don't want to offend anyone from Maine, including my wife. That's why I threw that piece in there. Mainers can be very resourceful. They're known to just do whatever it takes to get through the day. They just got running water recently, and I think where you're moving to, if I'm not mistaken, they just got sewage, and a lot of the outhouses have been closed. But I'm not sure if your particular outhouse has been boarded up. And so on behalf of the Staff Parish Relations Committee, and one of our many jobs is to ensure that the pastor and his family are happy, content, and comfortable in their living. And we have gotten you a door for your outhouse. Now, just a few things I wanted to point out, and I apologize. The piece up in the corner is a quarter moon, but my skill saw couldn't get there from here. As I said, Mainers are resourceful, and if you'll notice as you drive by, maybe some of your churches, if you run out of a color paint, we just move on to the next one. As you can see from your sign, and I don't know where the sign came from. Screwed on, taped on, different color tape. I don't know who was under there, but it was covered by last week's program. Rope to open the door. And on the back side, just a few things. As many of us come to visit, you know, you want to decorate your outhouse so that we feel at home. Bouquet of flowers, mainly because flowers can't grow in a climate that's always 30 below. This is not a typo, but simply how they speak. A couple of things that people have written as they've been there. Toilet paper, tip the quarter off, and that's held in by a T, because we didn't have a screw to screw it in. And then a piece out of the hymnal as you're sitting there reading, studying, or reflecting over next week's sermon, what have you. All things bright and beautiful. And so, as we read one parsonage and move on to the next, I hope you remember how good you had it here in the Hamptons. One last note, having lived in a house that did have an outhouse, it's quite possible in Winthrop it might be a two-seater, which would be perfect for you. And whatever the case may be, I thought I was in the County farewell service that was turned over to him by the choir and all that good stuff. I was watching television PBS yesterday, and Peter Houston was doing a travel log down in South Pacific and the islands. And he went to one of these islands, and one of the gentlemen that was going with him was going in on what was going on. And since you're going to another country, I thought I'd better tell you this. Don't touch anyone on that country. So the Methodist minister on this particular island went and touched the chief on the head.
Speaking to the mic.
And the only thing that was left of the chief, the Methodist minister, was a shoe. They ate it. So be careful. Well, we at the Main Street Brass tried to figure out what we could do for you. We were going to try and do a recording. And we couldn't get together, and then the recording equipment wasn't working. So we thought of other things that we could do, or just what we might be able to do. Then I heard mentioned somewhere in the family that you were looking for a particular CD. So I had two in mind. Unfortunately, we only have one now. The other one is still in production, coming. But I want to present on behalf of the Main Street Brass and their families this card and CD. And I would ask you to open it just to make sure you don't have that. If you do, I have it! Oh, I don't have it. And I might say that both Dave and I grew up in the Army, so I think you may appreciate this a whole lot. Good. And the other CD, I might as well tell you that's coming. It's a reproduction and put together of the Salvation Army International Staff Band when Bernie Adams had the band. It's just new, it's coming out. I've had it on order for a good while, so when we get it, I'll see to it that you get it. You're welcome.
Hey, just a word here. Johnny, you know Chuck and I, but just so you know, the Salvation Army turns out good musicians. The CD he gave me is a recording by a Salvation Army band with a man by the name of Philip Smith, who is a Salvation Army person. But it's also the principal trumpet player in North Carolina. So I really appreciate it.
Well, I've heard that Pastor David has recently been doing a lot of things he's not to be here after. He walks into a room and he says, "What am I here after?" The worship committee appreciates all the support and good counsel that Pastor Dave has given us. He's a very caring man. For example, it was his suggestion that we recognize some of the people in church whose hard work and diligence often are overlooked and go unnoticed. It was Pastor Dave who gave us the opportunity to hold an appreciation dinner for the ushers last spring. Pastor Dave is more than just an idea person. That night, true to his character, he donned a mustache and threw a white towel jauntily over his arm to serve an Italian dinner to the ushers. The worship committee, sparing no expense, would like to present this plaque as a token of our affection and appreciation of all of his good work.
I'm representing the sound operators and the phantom recording industry. You know, the guys that are in concerts with tape recorders in their pockets. Well, this next segment is something I put together at 4 a.m. this morning. 5 o'clock when my wife woke up with my alarm clock. But I couldn't get it together before this, but sure enough, for today, here it is. It speaks for itself.
There it goes. I believe that humor is God's way of reminding us on a very regular basis that we are human. The strange events, gags, jests, and silliness of each day help us to learn not to take ourselves too seriously, lest we fall victim to ourselves. Kindly pointed out by our foibles and our friends, humor helps relieve tensions, share our lighter side with people we are with, and celebrate the ironic, often unpredictable nature of life. No one combines the Word of God with the humor of mankind better than Pastor Dave, whose dry wit bubbles out so easily and illustrates the message. You don't have to be grumpy just because you're a Christian. Humor in a church are organizations within Main Street Methodist. Gatherings of groups with common interests or objectives are rich opportunities for gaining a humorous perspective and providing comic relief to the serious business of each week. The choir is one such organization. And I've had the opportunity to capture some of the silliness that has gone on there over the last 2 years. With the practice tapes I make to annoy my family at home and reduce the number of unintended solos at church. These are some of the gems that were just too good to erase, and thus are revealed here in chronological order for your listening and chuckling pleasure. This first soundbite, recorded in 1998, started it all. Timing is critical. Clear direction, divine. congregation. Sometimes, however, the congregation performs for the choir, as reported by Glenda, who overheard this comment during a long cantata session.
And there was a little one behind me that said, like, he had 3 more songs to go, and he said, please, no more songs.
The amen is a rich source for material. Sometimes, the comments and gags feed on each other, and you end up with a series like this.
They don't like that working move downstairs. I haven't even tried to help that. I've been on my knees every day. He's not got this far, you guys get it. And you were the guys who brought it into the wrong place.
Although the Amen group can be sometimes musically challenged, often the results are pleasing to the director, Rebecca Rousseau, until she finds out why.
Really? We changed that so we could record it.
You guys were second base for day. You guys were good on your
That's first
first game. Wow.
The musical and humorous Stafford family provides a lot of comic relief to the various choirs, as in this next segment.
When we sing, and like sometimes like the men will sing like 5, and then we'll kind of just sing on the chorus. Should be singing louder. So we want to go
I wonder about that.
The same culprits are featured in this next selection. You'll see what I mean.
And where we usually do that, there's some kind of a preferred benediction that we usually sing on our last Sunday. Well, maybe we can sing in the balcony. We have to go down and tell them piano is way out. It's awful up there. We can do everything. You have to give the part. That was based on. All right.
Besides its own choir, this church is blessed with groups that come in from the outside. But even those groups cannot escape the special humor of this church, as in this section, when the Bowling Green University was tuning up for their next song. Of course, you notice that, even in jest, that foghorn is right on tune. Sometimes our practice sessions are a little less successful, as in these next clips.
The whole thing is too loud? See, I can hear you guys more now, so I'm not going to be able to say, really, because you guys are a lot further away than, from what I'm hearing John Ryder right now, you know, from where I'm sitting.
Being in the choir requires great dedication and commitment. You need to play through your hurts and sicknesses and stay up with the beat of the tune, whether you can sing the words or not. So as you've just heard, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with various choirs in our church. Both musical excitement and humorous sideshows are part of the fabric. Pastor Dave has been a rich source, grateful recipient of humor in the choirs, and we're going to miss him. He'll always be with us, though, as long as we keep the lesson of laughter in our daily lives. And remember, a lot of new material just waiting to happen.
As a newcomer, I've appreciated this congregation and the love and the caring that's been here, and that has been what has kept me here. And as a way for us to express who we are and what we're about, remember one of your sermons, you said, remember when you're up to your waist in alligators, it's hard to remember that your goal is to drain the swamp. And for those of us who have been in leadership positions or committees around here, sometimes we find ourselves in that dilemma. Now, I don't know if you've been there or not in that process, but what we would like to do is we would like to present you both with a memory book that we have shared some of our life experiences that you have been involved in. And so would you be able to take your to Maine and wherever your journeys continue to be.
Many of you from school may remember that Henry Wadsworth Longfellow wrote the Song of Hiawatha about 175 years ago. I had a vision of what Henry Wadsworth Longfellow would say these last 3 or 4 months after David Linda of your leading. And this is how it's scripted. Now, many of you, just to keep going into that mind thing, it's by the shores of Gishikumi, you stood the wigwam up, so you remember. On the mountains of the Granites, on the city of the gates, from the roaring Merrimack, Bishop Susan, Bishop Grace, she the master of pastoral destiny, stood erect and called her council, called her fellow bishops, called her superintendents. From her mind flowed a thought, leaped into a most outstanding thought, yet slept on it to make it right, leaped on it in the light of first morning, gleamed and sparkled like the river Jordan, and the Spirit guided her earthward, with her hand on the city, with her finger on this church, with her thumb on this pastor, making the sign of the when mighty Casey whipped it free, her arm cocked 180 degrees, shouted the now famous refrain, "You're out of here at Middle Maine." Our unsuspecting pastor, David is his name, made a party Swedish stock, for most of us, our solid rock. Yet our rock began to tremble, tremble, tremble to and fro. Has anyone here heard of Play-Doh? Through the tranquil air of morning, first a single line of stunness, then a denser, bluer moment, then a snow-white snowball unfolding like the cheap cream of his coffee, ever rising, 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 till it touched the top of heaven, or so it seemed to him, and the comment finally from him seemed noble at the time, from the lips of ancient Norsemen to the tongue of our rock David. Yes, these mighty words were spoken. Don't promote me, pretty please. And his face stemmed defiance. At least that is what he told us. His eyes burned like embers. His flesh promoted tremors. But unfortunately, this did not move her. The bishop's feelings came from her gut. For her face, for his face left traces of the powder, remnants of his finished donut. With maternal love and pity, looked upon this wrath and wrangling. But as his sermons promoted our sleeping, for some of us even snoring, over this she stretched her right hand to subdue his stubborn nature, to allay his thirst of inquiry, by the shadow of her right hand, spake to him with voice majestic, as the sound of distant waters falling into deep abysses. Warning, chiding, guiding, he spake this wise. I have given you 51 churches to watch over. I have given you 8 years of blissful Nashua. You go now to Central Maine, and do not press your luck. There is talk amongst my superiors of expanding my northeast rule, not land that suits your wardrobe, that of beaches, sun, and gold. Rather land of endless winter, where bear and bison roam, land of roe and reindeer, land of fish and stream, land where the nearest Dairy Queen is a mere 50 miles from home. So press your luck, my dear pastor, and I will fill your ear with the land of northern Maine, where caribou run free, where counties are no more, or off you go to Newfoundland. How's your French speaking, eh? To a land of frozen water, where ice fishing is not a hobby, but rather a technique of survival. As our pastor heard her warning,
His thoughts chilled in frozen terror, yet silently he began to think. Common sense was his mood. Central Maine, put that way, actually sounded good. The latitude was not of Florida, but nor was it of Greenland. I shall go to Maine that's Central, home for blueberries, home for hockey, home of waters, Sebago and Saco. But I do have one question here, Bishop. It's a known fact. You can't get that from here. Said the bishop to the pastor, I bear gifts to get you that. In my satchel, you will find a compass. Whenever in doubt, follow northward, 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 northward. You'll know you've reached down east, or your goosebumps will have goosebumps. Then comes in handy my other gifts. From the wigwam of this bishop, I bear the wealth of the bisons. All the wealth of skins of wampum, furs of bison and of beaver, furs of sable and of ermine, wampum belts and pelts and pouches. All donations made in faith from a mid-Maine offering plate. You go now and tell your family, go now and tell your congregation. Said the newly promoted superintendent to the bishop, it's hard enough to tell my wife and children, but certainly my congregation cannot handle. Best summed up in one word, sad. But that Sunday the pastor did tell us, and the more info came every Sunday. To the pastor's great dismay, his flock became intrigued with his replacement. The more they heard, the more they liked. Is it possible Pastor Dave, if Pastor Sue, could come earlier, maybe May or June? Further news was disturbing, for the wigwam built on Wellington would be sold once Dave departed. A new parsonage to be built in the city just north of here. But a new rumor flowed through. With the last few years in skyward stock market, our analysts show we can afford to build a palace. A tract of land 10 acres found, we can build a palace there. We would not be surprised if the new ditch could fit 4 Wellingtons. Yes, Wellington will soon be a memory, not an address that you once lived in, but the new pastor will enjoy last Wellington as it was intended, medium rare and under glass. So this ends the roast, dear pastor. Now a few words of serious nature. You have given, we have taken. You may leave, but always know you will be missed, sorrowfully so. But your legacy will live on. For 8 straight years you gave us children, Jesus. Sharing, caring, building, bonding. Make haste and make us proud. There are 50 pastors who need you now.
Okay, very nice. The very last thing, there is no more food left, by the way. Cake, sorry. Before we start, did you want to went to the restroom when we still have running water?
I am very honored to be up here. You know, there are no walls on the Main to walk around. I'm very honored to be up here today to say a few words on behalf of everyone here and those that could not be with us today. I must say it was very difficult to come up after Glenda and the Kids of the Kingdom. It was very beautiful and so well spoken from everyone here today. A lot of people have shared many wonderful memories, many wonderful words. And those that have not and could not be with us today, I'm sure they too would have a lot to say. You have touched our lives in so many ways. We thank you for your words. We thank you for your encouragement, your spiritual journey that you have led us on. On behalf of Main Street United Methodist Church, your family, those here today, and those that are not with us today, we present you and your family with a small token of our appreciation for all that you have done and all that you have meant to us in our lives day to day. We wish you nothing but the very best as you move on, as you so well put it. And just know that as you go, you will be in our hearts and you will be in our souls every day. And best of luck and much love to both of you and your family. Thank you.
Thank you. As Bill said, I'm accustomed as I am to public speaking. I do want to say thank you for this day specifically. I don't know who to thank for this because I've been sort of like the proverbial mushroom about this event. I've been kept in the dark and got an occasional fertilizer thrown at me. But I do say thank you to each and every one of you, and that's just for myself, but Linda too. I am no longer your pastor. That's a fact of life. But I hope I am still your friend. And I hope that friendship continues. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye, Pat. Want to say a few words?
No, I don't.
Oh, well, you did.
Okay.
Is that Sally?
I thought you ran out of film.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
John, I got something for you in your truck to get to here for me.
Oh, I got you, Ann.
If you ever need to leave for a straw payment, then you can call me.
Yeah, send me a copy.
Okay, how many? One, okay. How many copies you want?
Yeah, she left with
Oh, sorry.